Hello, and welcome to the pre-playoffs, I guess kind of a pre-game show for the playoffs, the NHL playoffs. They start this Wednesday, and we're pumped because we love the playoffs. There's nothing better than playoff hockey. It's like Christmas.
Christmas in April.
Yeah, seriously. If it wasn't for school, I would spend every second of my life, pretty much, watching the playoffs. And I did last year when I had a little bit of extra time. Literally watched every single game that I could. All right, what we're going to do is just kind of go through some things. We're going to make our picks, who we think are going to win, and just make some cool predictions here. We're going to start out, though, to you in the Eastern Conference. What is your most interesting matchup? Like, who are you excited to watch? What do you think's interesting?
You know, it's probably the series that I feel like is going to be. It may not go 7 because it's the top seed Washington versus wildcard 2 Toronto.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you got the big guns and with Washington with Ovechkin, Kuznetsov, Backstrom, and then on the back end, you got Holtby in net, Niskanen. They traded for Shattenkirk from St. Louis earlier in the season. So, I mean, they have all the tools to make their cup run. I mean, they're overdue. They've had early playoff exits. They lost to Pittsburgh last year in the second round. But then on the Toronto side, you got Matthews, you got Nylander, Mitch Marner, Morgan Riley. And they're making their first, run at the cup with their, the rookie sensation. He's going to win the Calder. I feel like, he almost had 40 goals.
He's got to, right? I think he did. He got 40.
Yeah, he did. He hit 40?
He hit 40 with the empty netter against Pittsburgh with 3 seconds left.
So, I mean, I don't think Toronto has what it takes to win the series, but I feel like that intrigues me a lot, And you also have Montreal and the Rangers. You got two young bloods or teams that have been there for a while, and I feel like the Eastern Conference has a lot of good series, but I'd say the one that intrigues me the most is Washington and Toronto.
And I'm right there with you with the Washington-Toronto thing. I've actually kept up with the Leafs a lot this year. They've been one of the teams that I have enjoyed watching. And whenever I get the chance, I'm like, I'm going to watch the Leafs play tonight because I think that the Leafs are phenomenally fun to watch. In my opinion, like a sit-down and watch team, I think the Leafs are the most exciting team.
Oh, yeah.
Like you said, Austin Matthews, unbelievable.
Dude, he's unbelievable.
Mitch Marner, crazy good. JVR, Jalen Van Riemsdyk, whenever he wants to be good, he's great. Freddie Anderson makes some amazing saves. You look at Nylander, even Tyler Bozak has made some plays.
He's been there for a while, but now he's finally getting his tools.
Connor Brown. Connor Brown to me is the rookie who you're not hearing about, but I think he has 20 goals. As a rookie,
it's kind of like Yossi was being overshadowed by Weber for all those years.
Yeah.
People knew who Yossi was, but he was kind of overshadowed. He's overshadowed by Matthews.
Any other year, Connor Brown is their rookie, and he's getting nothing because of Matthews, Nylander, Marner. I mean, they're phenomenally fun to watch.
Yeah.
And so I think that for me, what's going to be fun to watch is how is this new team who's really going to want it. I mean, it's a bunch of young guys. They played in these tournaments all their lives, and finally they're like, hey, we stepped up when we needed to. We stepped up against the reigning Stanley Cup champions, the Pittsburgh Penguins, and we won that game to clinch our spot when we needed to.
Yeah, I mean, they won it in crunch time, late in the third.
Yeah, and they came back. They were down. To me, that is going to be an interesting series. A team that chokes in the playoffs, a Barry Trotz that chokes in the playoffs.
We know full well about Barry Trotz in the playoffs.
And then you also have to look at their coach, Mike Babcock, who has great playoff history.
With Detroit
and
for all those years,
to me, he's the Jack Adams winner. I mean, far and away, taking 9 rookies and getting them to the playoffs. I mean, phenomenal. And
I mean, no one saw them in this position.
That's true.
Nobody saw them make the playoffs this year. I mean, they defied the odds with Matthews and all their big guns.
Very true. Very true. All right, most interesting matchup for you in the Western Conference.
Well, I know I'm a little biased, because our Preds are in the West, but I do feel like the Nashville-Chicago series has a lot of storylines with it. Back in 2010, Game 5 still, for us Preds fans, it gives us nightmares with what happened there with the man advantage. We won't get into that. And then in 2015, we lose in 6, and we always look back to that Game 1 where we had a 3-0 lead.
Yeah.
Then they come back and tie, and then they win double overtime. So, I mean, we're a team that a lot of people pick in the preseason to, we're the big pick in the West to get to the final, and we kind of coasted. We didn't really live up to our expectations, but we got in the tournament. we're an 8 seed technically, but we're not a typical 8 seed. You know, we have all the talent. You know,
That's
but
true.
I just have a weird feeling that this is our third time's the charm. You know, when Detroit was our biggest rival back in the late 2000s, all the way through the 2000s, it took us 3 times to beat them in the playoffs. We lost to them in 04 and 08, but beat them in 12.
Yeah.
So it's third time the charm for the Preds against the Blackhawks. Time will tell, but
Yeah,
it's going to be exciting.
Fingers crossed there. Yeah, I'm actually going to take a different route in the West. For me, I look at that San Jose Edmonton series, and I think that's going to be a fun series. Because when you look at San Jose, they were ice cold for a while, and they're starting to heat back up a little bit. The only issue is they might have a few injuries going in, but, those guys, they're going to try to play through injuries. And then you have the Edmonton Oilers, who have been phenomenal this year, and they have gotten back in the playoffs. You know that everything out there, that all the fans are going to be insanely wild.
Losing it, yeah.
They're finally that they waited a lot of miserable years, which same with Leafs fans.
Yeah. All the Canadian teams, they've kind of
it's been miserable.
It's not been good of late.
But I think that series has the potential to be one of the best, and I think Connor McDavid is going to show here who he is. Is he going to be a legend, or is he just going to be a superstar? And if he can come through and even if they lose the series, I think Connor McDavid can show who he is really going to be based on his first playoff series. Really quickly, I wanted to point out something about the Leafs. They have not made the playoffs in a full-length season since 2004.
Yeah, and they made it in a lockout shortened season.
Yeah.
And then they lost to Boston.
And they lost to Boston.
That was a miserable loss.
But the thing about the Leafs that I think is so crazy is that since 2004 they have not done anything, and they've just stunk. Like, they've always been like that mediocre, we're not quite good enough to make the playoffs.
They have the history, but they've just gone through a rough patch. Yeah.
Right. So I think there are a lot of fun matchups going there. All right, we're going to start on the Eastern Conference and just go through and make our predictions. Who do you think is going to win? How many games do you think it's going to go? We'll start with Montreal and the New York Rangers. Who do you think wins that one?
I've been pondering this one for a while because the Rangers were stuck in the ultra-competitive Metro this year, and they're a wild card team. Even though if they were in pretty much any other division, they would be, probably have home ice, but they have to settle for a wild card against Montreal. It's the best goalie matchup of the playoffs by far. You got Price versus Lundqvist. They've made their names in the NHL. They're consistently ranked up there in the top 3 or 4
Are you saying Crawford isn't elite?
I'd say he's not elite, but he's not elite. We'll just leave it at that. But for prediction for this one, I have Montreal winning this one in 7. I'm going to give them the slight edge, but I could definitely see this one going the other way. But I'm leaning towards Montreal right now in 7.
See, and as you take Montreal, I take the Rangers. Okay. I say that they win in 7. I think it's a great series.
Yeah, it'll be fantastic.
Weber's getting to a point. He does have the playoff experience a little bit more, but the Rangers have more. And I think that the Rangers' playoff experience, deep playoff experience, is going to win them the series, especially when you played in the Metro all year. Like we were talking about, the Rangers definitely would have been a much higher ranked team.
I think point total they would have won the Atlantic if they were in the Atlantic.
Yes, exactly. So you got to look at the Rangers and say, hey, to me, the Rangers win it. All right, Ottawa and Boston.
Oh man, this is probably the most underrated series in my opinion.
Really?
Boston kind of went on a hot streak at the end of the season to get in the playoffs, and then Ottawa's just a real feel-good story. With Craig Anderson earlier in the season with his wife, being diagnosed with cancer, and his first start after the diagnosis, I believe he got a shutout.
Yeah, definitely.
It's really a great series, and I think Ottawa's, I know it's it's not a big, huge deal, but, them losing Mathai with him getting his finger chopped off by Crosby, their defense is kind of suffering with injuries, so I got Boston in this one. I think they're going to win in 6. They'll win on their home ice in Game 6. So that's where I'm feeling there.
Awesome. I have Boston as well. I have them in 5. I just think Ottawa's pathetic. They've been playing pathetic recently. Their fans are pathetic. The whole city of Ottawa is terrible. They shouldn't be the capital of Canada. We're going to move on. Now we are going to choose the Toronto and Washington series. We both said that this is our favorite matchup in the East. And I'm going to tell you right now that I am taking the upset pick. I think the young gun Toronto Maple Leafs upset Barry Trotz and the Washington Capitals because they lose. I think that the Caps, everyone's saying, this is their year, this is their year, this is their year. No, it's not. The Leafs take them. I think the Leafs beat them. And 6 or 7.
Okay.
I don't know yet. The Caps will definitely.
Can you
win
imagine Washington D.C. if they lose this first round series?
Trotz is gone.
Trotz is going to be on the hot seat if he's not gone.
Trotz is gone, and once again we'll go to an expansion team and we'll be the coach of the Vegas Golden Knights.
Bold prediction. You heard it right here.
Yep, heard it here first. It's going to happen because they're going to lose to the Leafs in the first round of the playoffs.
All right, as for me, I'm going to stick with the Caps. I feel like the Caps will win this one kind of early. I think it'll be in 5. I think Toronto's time's coming. You know, they've overachieved this season. They've gotten in a position that they're satisfied with. Granted, their fans are going to want them to go all the way, of course, but I think they've overachieved their expectations. And I feel like this is Washington's year. I know we say it every year. They find a way to choke, or, you know, they had a 3-1 lead a couple years ago and lost a series. And I just feel like this is their year. So I'm going to take the Caps in 5.
Awesome. All right. And 5. Wow, that's not very many. All right, Columbus and Pittsburgh. Who do you have?
Well, I guess I'll give a little background. You know, Pittsburgh and Columbus are the 2 and 3 seed in the Metro. So It's like almost like this feels like a conference semi matchup,
definitely.
or even a conference final matchup because of their point totals. But I'm going to go with the established Pittsburgh Penguins, the defending Stanley Cup champions. Columbus has kind of stumbled down the stretch. They had that really long winning streak earlier in the season, but they've been kind of streaky, and they're kind of hitting a low point in their season. They're not going to the playoffs playing too well. I do think the series goes the distance. I'll give Pittsburgh in 7.
All right. I actually had this one as – I'm not going to say it. I think Pittsburgh wins in 5. This is one of the ones that I thought – this is the only one I thought had the chance of a sweep. I think Pittsburgh has the chance of a sweep in this one. But I think Pittsburgh wins this series. All right, moving over to the West real quickly. We already talked about it a little bit when I was saying it's my favorite. Edmonton and Sharks. Who do you got and how many games?
Well, as you were saying, it's your most intriguing matchup, and I think what makes this series awesome is you got the veterans in San Jose with Thornton, Pavelski, Couture, Marlowe. You know, they've been there. They won the West last year, lost to Pittsburgh in the final, and then you got the young blood in Edmonton with Draisaitl, McDavid, Nugent-Hopkins, all those guys over there. But I still got to go with San Jose. You know, they have the experience. I dislike San Jose with a passion, obviously, but. I do think this series will be a very good series, but I have San Jose in 6 over the Youngbloods in Edmonton.
Awesome. And once again, we disagree because I think Edmonton wins this series in 7. I think this is one of the best series. Like I said before, I think Edmonton takes it in 7. I just think that they're playing too well right now. All right, Calgary and Anaheim. This will be one of the, if not the lowest TV rated series.
Oh, all the games start what time? Like 9:30.
Late start games. Anaheim has the worst TV audience of any NHL team.
They don't even sell out their playoff games.
They can't sell out playoff games.
It's
Anaheim is pathetic. Flames tickets are cheap, and they might move next year. So, who do you have in this series just to win?
You know, as you said, this series, I mean, it would be a good series, but it's probably not at the top of most of our lists for most ones we want to watch. But I'll take Anaheim in this series. You know, we knocked them off last year. You know, they had a 3-2 lead, and we won the game 6 and 7. So I feel like guys like Corey Perry, Getzlaff, all those guys in Anaheim, you know, they know that their time is running out. You know, Corey Perry's not where he used to be, but I still think they have the potential, and I do think they'll get by Calgary. I think it'll be a 7-game series, though. I'll take Anaheim in 7.
All right, awesome. And I'm going to take Anaheim in 4 in that one. That is my
sweep.
That's my sweep. I took Pittsburgh in 5. I'm going to take Anaheim in 4. I think that they're just too hot right now. They're not going to lose, especially not to Calgary. Calgary is going to go down fast. All right, Central Division. This is where it gets messy. You have the Minnesota Wild and the St. Louis Blues. You've seen them both a lot this year. Who do you have in this series?
Well, you know, this reminds me a lot of the Predators 2 years ago going into the playoffs against the Blackhawks. I would say that us in 2015 are like the Minnesota Wild. The Wild, you know, were neck and neck with Chicago through the past couple months of the season, fighting for the Central Division. And then, you know, Chicago kept winning and Minnesota fell off, so they settled for the 2 seed. Then you have St. Louis, on the other hand, who was took advantage of a very weak schedule down the stretch to solidify the 3 seed in the Central. But I do think that with the way Jake Allen's playing, the way the Blues are playing, and the way the Wild are playing, it just makes sense in my brain to take the St. Louis Blues. And I do think this will be a quick out. I think Blues will get some rest before they play the winner of our series. So I have the Blues in 5.
Wow. And I actually have the Blues in either 6 or 7. I think they could go into Minnesota and take this game, the series in Game 7. I have this one going to 7 with a Blues victory. Now we get to the game that you and I, the games that we're both looking forward to, that we're going to be miserable.
Yes.
My nails will be down to stubs. I'll be crying, lots of tears. No homer. In all honesty, how do you think this series goes?
I've just seen it too many times. All the heartbreaks whenever we have to play Chicago. But, I have this feeling in my heart that this is the time that we finally get over the hump, Kane, Tays, they have a great top 6, but I feel like they don't have the depth scoring that we have, they have a better top 6, but I feel like top to bottom, our forward group is better. And then, we have arguably the best top 4 defensive core in the league with Ekholm, Ellis, Yossi, and Subban. But at the end of the day, I think it all comes down to goaltending between Crawford and Rene. And
I agree.
Rene he's been talking about in the media. He knows he doesn't have many times left to, go on a playoff run and take us all the way. So I think he's going to find a way to have the series of his life against the Blackhawks. So I have Nashville. I have us going into the United Center in Game 7, knocking off the Chicago Blackhawks with 3 Stanley Cups in their last 7 years. That team, Blackhawks team. I have the faith that we'll do it. So I have the Preds in 7. I hope you have as much confidence as me. We'll see. What do you got?
I'm more confident than you. I have to have Preds in 6. I think that there's. I don't think that we could go into. Maybe not as much faith as I don't think we could win a Game 7 at United Center. I think if it goes to Game 7 at United Center, Chicago takes it. And for me, this really is. To me, this is the West, because I think that if you look at the teams right now, and I think if you look at the way the bracket is set up, I think that the winner of this series is going to end up, in my opinion, going to the final. And so for me, I have Nashville in 6.
Okay.
And we're going to run through, I guess, just to end this, we're going to run through and just say who we think. We'll just finish out our brackets. I have Nashville in 6. I have them playing the St. Louis Blues, and I think Nashville has the Blues number this year, and they're going to continue that because right now we lost in a game near the end of the year. We'll come back. Yeah, we're gassed.
That was our 5th game in 7 days.
And it was so tough to win that. So what's going to happen is you go in, Preds beat the Blues, and continue on to face your Pacific champion. For me, the Pacific champion is going to be, obviously you're going to have, for me, the Oilers and the Ducks playing. I think the Oilers win that series. I think the Oilers get so hot after that San Jose series. They're high. They beat the Western Conference champion from last year. They go into a tough place to play. And the Shark Tank, been there. It's incredibly loud. I can only imagine what it's like in a playoff atmosphere. I think...
how loud do you think it's going to be in the Rogers Place for Game 1 in Edmonton? For all those fans who've been waiting 2 years.
That's going to be insane.
I would love to be there.
That's going to be insane.
That's going to be a great atmosphere.
But that's going to be... The Oilers are going to be high. They're going to beat the Ducks in that round. And then you'll move to round 3, have Nashville versus Edmonton. And I'm sorry, Edmonton, but... you just struggle against Nashville. There's something that Edmonton struggles with against Nashville, and this is not, I mean, you look at the numbers. This is not me talking as a Preds fan. This is me talking as, look at hockey. Look how it's been played. Look at how well Rene plays against them. Look at how well our forwards play against them. Look at how well our defense plays against them. I think Nashville ends up beating Edmonton to advance to the final. In the East, well, you got to do your West,
okay.
and then.
So as I said, I have Nashville beating the Blackhawks, and then the Blues beating the Wild. But I just unbiased. I have a weird feeling about us with the Blues. We don't play good in St. Louis at the Scott Trade Center. So in that series, if it doesn't go Nashville, St. Louis, I have the Blues advancing. On the Pacific side, I had Anaheim over Calgary and San Jose over Edmonton. I feel like the Anaheim gets over the hump and beats the Sharks.
Well.
So, as it stands right now, my Western Conference final is Blues Ducks.
Oh man!
Obviously, I want it to be Preds in there.
Right. Yeah.
For some reason, I have a feeling that it's going to go that route. So
right.
That's
Definitely.
what I got right now.
Awesome. And who do you think wins that series?
I got the Blues.
Wow.
It's not a trendy pick for the final in the West,
Not at
but
all.
I got the Blues in the final.
Wow.
It's
for the first time
I know.
in forever.
God, they are overdue, just like the Caps, man. But, they're just playing hot. And as I said, it was a weak schedule, but if I'm a team in the West, I don't want to be playing the Blues right now. So.
Yeah, wow. All right, so when we move over to the East, I have the Rangers beating the Habs to move on. And then I have the Bruins playing the Rangers in that series. I have the Rangers beating the Bruins pretty handily. I have the Leafs beating the Caps, and I have the Penguins beating the Blue Jackets. I think the Pens take the Leafs pretty easily.
Okay.
I don't think that's going to be much of a series. I think the Leafs get pretty lucky against Washington. Even though I do think they win, I think Pittsburgh handles the Leafs. And then you have a Rangers-Pittsburgh final, which will be fun.
That'll be great.
But Pittsburgh makes a return to the Cup. And so for me, your championship, your Stanley Cup final, completely unbiased, and I'm being serious when I say unbiased, is Nashville and Pittsburgh.
Love that.
And I will tell you this, the Pittsburgh Penguins will beat us badly. I think 5-1 or 4-1. I think it'll be in 5 games.
Okay.
Not good for Nashville.
She thinks Crosby gets his 3rd cup.
Yeah, I think Crosby. The Penguins are just too good, especially if they can stay healthy. They're gonna win this all, and they'll beat Nashville in the process.
All right. As for me in the East, Montreal over the Rangers for me in the Atlantic, and then I had Boston over Ottawa. So sets up a original 6 rivalry matchup between Montreal and Boston. I mean, that rivalry goes back.
That would be fun.
A century.
That would be fun.
I
hope that happens.
My roommate's a Boston fan, and I'll give him a shout out, and he hates the Habs, so that'd be a great series. That's what I have. I have Montreal over Boston in the conference semis there. On the Metro side, as I said, I have Washington over Toronto and Pittsburgh over Columbus to set up another Washington-Pittsburgh conference semi. And then I have Washington getting over the hump against Pittsburgh.
Wow.
As I said, I feel like Washington's going to make a run this year, so conference final in the East for me right now is Montreal and the Capitals.
Wow. And who you have win that one?
I got the Habs. I got Shea Weber making the Stanley Cup final. Trotz is overdue, man. I'm telling you, he doesn't have playoff experience. He doesn't have playoff success. But something tells me, just like I am in the West with the Blues, gut feeling it's the Caps year. So I feel like we're going to have a very 2 teams from the West and the East that have gone through years and years of turmoil in the playoffs. They're going to get to the final and match up for a Blues Capitals final.
Now, who is your champion out of that?
Oh, this is a tough one. I'm going to go with Ovechkin. Go with Ovi.
Wow. Trendy.
It's all that his legacy.
When was the last time a President's Trophy winner won the Cup? Keep talking.
Look
I'm
looking
this up.
As I said, they made the trade for Shattenkirk. I feel like that really solidified their defensive core.
Mm-hmm.
And then they got the big guns and Kuznetsov, Ovechkin, Backstrom, Oshie. They got all those guys and Orpik on the back end. So it's going to be a great final. I mean, I feel like a St. Louis Washington final will be awesome. I have the Caps winning that series, as I said, and I think it may go the distance. I think that series will go 7. Nothing like a 7-game series in the final. So that's what I got right now.
All right,
Washington
awesome.
over the Blues.
Your last President's Trophy winner, who has won the Stanley Cup, was this hurts me. The 2012-2013 Chicago Blackhawks. But
when was the last time a full season President's Trophy?
Last time a full
season.
season. That was the lockout shortened season. You have the 07-08 Detroit Red Wings. It's been a while. It has been a while.
Predators did play the Red Wings in that first round series.
Yes, and I believe that is the year. Like, if I'm right about this, yeah, Pittsburgh. Detroit was insane. They were 54-21-7. I mean, they were good that year.
Mm-hmm.
That is just something that we'll see. Like I said, I don't see it happening, but lots of exciting things to happen. And once you're in the playoffs, anything can happen.
It's not like the NBA. There's a lot of parity in the NHL.
Yes.
8 seeds can beat 1 in the NHL.
Yes, you're not going to have the Warriors losing.
No. So that's what makes the NHL first round the best.
Oh,
in
it's
sports.
so fun. It's so
you never
fun.
know what you're going to get.
Yep.
That's what's
very
awesome.
true. All right. We thank you all very much for watching. We are excited. Hopefully, I'm right out of both of us because that means
I
the
agree.
Preds will go.
Trust me, I will be repping my goal.
Hopefully, the Preds will go to the final.
Yes.
That would be extremely fun. You have a blessed day. Go Preds. Welcome to the best time of the year. Do you want to introduce yourself really quick?
Oh, yeah. I'm Jacob. Jacob Stinson.
Jacob. He is the runner of the Twitter account, Smashville's Finest, 501 Broadway.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the runner of the Twitter account, Ben McGreevy, at McGreevyBen. You can follow us both. We're great. Or at least he is. I'm not. But you guys
Thanks, man.
have a great rest of your day. Thank you for watching.